Welcome students to the new class. Students, last year you were in standard 6th, this year in standard 7th, and next year you will be in standard 8th. So you must have guessed we are discussing about the time. Time refers to past, present, future. So you will be exciting that our first poem is about past, present, future composed by Emily Bronte. So what you will be learning from this poem? Through this poem, we will find how to make connections between the poem and our lives. Second point, we will find the meaning of the, mournfully, mighty, and infinity. Third, we will learn how to identify the rhyme scheme and rhyming words of a poem. So let's start with the poem. The poem name Past, Present, Future, composed by Emily Bronte. Let's start with the first stanza. Tell me, smiling child, what the past is like to thee. An autumn evening, soft and mild, with a wind that sighs mournfully. The second stanza. Tell me, what is the present hour? A green and flowery spray, where a young bird sits gathering its power to mount and fly away. The last stanza. And what is the future? Happy one, a sea beneath a cloudless sun, a mighty, glorious, dazzling sea stretching into infinity. All the students, you are requested to please read this poem silently. The first stanza is referring about the past tense. The second stanza is referring for present tense, and the last stanza is told to be of future tense. This poem is written by Emily Bronte. Now, who is this Emily Bronte? Why is she so famous? So let's have a look about Emily Bronte's life. In the slide below, you can see the photo of Emily Bronte, who was born on 30th July 1818 and died very early on 19th December 1848. Let's see about Emily Bronte. This poem, The Past, Present, Future, is composed by Emily Bronte. Emily Bronte and her sisters were well-known authors who lived in the 19th century. Emily Bronte uses nature to express her thoughts, feelings, and ideas in many of her poems. In this poem, the time is presented in the form of a dialogue between the poet and the happy child. For the child in the poem, the past was the pleasant time, but sadly, we cannot go back to it. The present is the time when you prepare for your future, which is unknown but exciting. In the poem, the poet asked a child what the past, present, future looks like to him or her. In an innocent manner, the child describes the nature that he or she associates with each of his or her time phrase. In the first stanza, when he or she was asked about the past, the child is smiling. The difference between the past and the present and the constant unknown future, and how our memories give us a view of time. So let's start with the first stanza. I'll read it once again. Tell me, smiling child, what the past is like to thee. An autumn evening, soft and mild, with a wind that sighs mournfully. Students, this poem is about past, present, future by Emily Bronte. It is a dialogue between the poetess and the happy child. They discuss what each period of time means to the child. The child with the ability to see beauty and optimism. What is optimism? Optimism means hopefulness, confidence about the future or the success of something around it. The poetess Emily Bronte begins the poem by asking a happy child what the past is like to him or her. In response, the child compares the past as an autumn evening, which is soft and mild, with a sad wind that sighs mournfully in the background. The concept of the past is discussed, and the basic structure of the poem content is made clear. The narrator of the poem appears to be speaking with a smiling child and asking the child about the nature of time and reality. The wind is portrayed as a dark winter's as a sad figure. This autumn would suggest that the present is going to be described as wintry season. This is also suggesting that the person looks about into the past, they tend to see that the mild autumn over the cold winter to remember the past or even modify the memories to be something to be calm, wonderful, and want to experience again. Here in the paraphrase, you can see the poet is talking about the past. When the narrator asked innocent smiling child about past, he says that it is like an autumn evening. It's something that he remembers with longing and little sadness. The falling of leaves and the mournful sigh of the wind convey that the child is unhappy because the past has passed and he cannot go back it. Let's see the second stanza, which tells us about the present hour. Tell me, what is the present hour? A green and flowery spray where a young bird sits gathering its power to mount and fly. In response to this query about the present hour, the child compares it to the pleasant green and flowery branch, wherein a young bird gathers courage and power to mount and fly above the blue sky. In other words, the child finds the present filled with hope, courage, and aspiration to scale its height. The time to gather strength. The present is like a spring. Time focuses heavily on the young bird. The young bird preparing to fly for the first time as it gathers its strength to make the attempt. The uses of green flowery spray particularly suggest pleasant atmosphere. The present has a closer relationship with future than the past. and that begin in the present is preparing for something that is coming up ahead. Most people are looking ahead to something that will fulfill them, giving their life an additional meaning or simply makes them happier. The child, like the bird, spends the time preparing for the future. If you see here, the present tense is described when he is asked about the present hour. The child says that it is like springtime with greenery and flowery around, where a young bird on a branch of a tree just learning to fly. In short, in present, he is gathering his strength and looking forward to head into the world. Let's see the next stanza. The last stanza is about the future tense. Let's start. And what is the future? Happy one? A sea beneath a cloudless sun, a mighty, glorious, dazzling sea stretching into infinity. On being asked about the future, the child compares it with the sea under a cloudless sun, a sea which is mighty, glorious, dazzling sea and never ending. Through these words, the child implies about the thrilling and never-ending possibilities which awaits for him or her. Finally, the poem concludes by considering the future. The still happy child explains the future is a sunny, cloudless sky overlooking a sea that stretches into the horizon. It creates the theme of discovering and all the descriptions needed to understand the view on the future. That it makes exciting, something to approach with an open mind and a readiness to embrace. It throws light on the future about an open sea and clear clouds, meant that anything is possible, that you might end up in imaginable places. In the future tense, the poetess explains when he is asked about the future, the happy child says that it is like vast sea that has stretched far and wide under the bright sun. According to him, the future is magnificent, exciting, and mysterious. He is keen on exploring it. I hope so. All the students must have understood the past, present, future, and let's see about the meanings. The means you. Mournfully, in a sad and unhappy manner. Flowery spray means a small branch of trees bearing flowers. Mount, to get on, something to climb. Glorious, something that is worthy of receiving praise. Mighty, huge and powerful. Beneath means under. Cloudless, stay without cloud. Dazzling, extremely beautiful. Infinity, beyond its limit, that is unlimited. Now let's check out the rhyming words and rhyme scheme. In the first stanza, tell me, smiling child, what the past is like to thee. An autumn evening, soft and mild, with a wind that sighs mournfully. If you can see, rhyming words is child and mild. The and mournfully are rhyming scheme. This rhyming scheme of the stanza is A, B, A, B. Let's come to the conclusion of the poem. What we have come to know from this poem. The past is something to be longed for. The present is something to plan in. And the future is something to look forward to. Describing time is not so easy. This is the best time to polish and advance in your skills, language, and make good use of the time. A small thought for all the students. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift of God, which is why we call it the present. All the students, you have a small homework to do. In 50 to 100 words, write about how you will use the present to build your future. I hope everyone will write something what you have planned for your future. Thank you.